People say the worst pain is losing someone you love. They're wrong. The worst pain is standing at the altar in front of 200 people, wearing the best suit you owned, staring at an aisle where the woman you love should be walking toward you, and realizing she isn't coming. I remember the murmurs. The whispers. The pitying eyes. The slow, suffocating embarrassment that wrapped itself around my chest like a coil. That day didn't just break my heart. It humiliated me. It turned me into a living spectacle. But if you're listening to this now, understand one thing: I survived it. I rose above it. And I won in ways they never saw coming. My name is Caleb Thompson, and this is the story of how the woman I loved vanished minutes before we were supposed to become husband and wife, and how the truth, years later, turned a ruined moment into the beginning of my victory. It started with a single message delivered by her cousin. A shaky voice with tear-streaked face. And the sentence that detonated my world: "Caleb, she's gone. She said she can't marry you." No explanation. No text. No call. Just absence. I pulled out my phone and started dialing her, but her phone was off. I looked over to where her family were seated. They were silent, stiff, suspiciously composed. I remember the anger bubbling inside me, not at her disappearance, but at how her mother avoided my eyes, how her father's jaw tightened when I asked for answers, how they kept repeating the same rehearsed phrase: "She made her choice." No, that wasn't her choice. She didn't make that choice. I didn't know it then, but the truth was far darker, far more calculated, and far more humiliating than I ever imagined. Back then, all I knew was that I had been abandoned. Left like trash. Left like a man unworthy of love. I walked out of that church with everyone watching me, everyone whispering, everyone speculating, and I promised myself one thing: I would rise from this in a way that would burn their expectations to ash. But first, I had to survive the fall. People think heartbreak hits you like a wave. Mine hit like a collapse. The morning after the failed wedding, I woke up on my couch still wearing the shirt from the night before, tie on the floor, jacket tossed somewhere I couldn't remember. My phone was full of messages. Not from her. Everyone else had something to say. Stay strong. She'll come around. Maybe her nerves got the best of her. You didn't deserve that. They were right, but hearing it only made the humiliation sharper. I went to bed a groom. I woke up a punchline. And the people who should have given me answers, her parents, went silent. They blocked me, erased me, acted like I never existed in their daughter's life. That silence told me everything: this wasn't her decision. This was a coordinated disappearance. The part that hurt the most was that I still loved her. For months, I replayed every moment of our relationship, searching for signs. Trying to understand how a woman who cried tears of joy during our engagement could vanish like smoke. But grief eventually burns itself out. Pain doesn't stay fresh forever. One morning, 3 months after the failed wedding, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I was unshaven. Tired and hollow. I realized I was grieving someone who didn't even have the courage to face me. That's when a thought hit me: if she could walk away so easily, then she didn't deserve the version of me she almost married. That single realization became the spark I needed to turn things around. I went back to the gym. I focused on my work. I cut off the sympathy calls. I unfollowed everyone connected to her. Not to forget her, but to remember myself. For the first time since the wedding disaster, I felt control slipping back into my hands. 3 months became 6. 6 months became a year. I didn't hear from her. Not a text. Not an apology. Not even a cowardly anonymous email. And strangely, the silence no longer hurt. It empowered me. Every time something great happened I thought, she could have been here for this. But she chose to vanish. Her loss. It wasn't bitterness. It was truth. And then, nearly 2 years after the wedding that never happened, I got a single unexpected message from a mutual friend. "Caleb, she wants to talk to you." I stared at the text for a long minute. My first thought wasn't excitement. Or hope. Or even anger. I had just one question: why now? Because here's the thing about betrayal, it always circles back when you're no longer weakened by it. And her return, when it finally happened, revealed a truth darker than I could have imagined, a truth her family buried so deep it took almost losing everything for her to come clean. The night she came back into my life was a quiet Tuesday. The kind of night when nothing dramatic is supposed to happen. I had just finished a late workout, showered, made dinner, and sat down to watch a movie. That was the life I had built for myself. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Caleb, it's me. Please. I need to talk to you." Her name didn't show, but my chest tightened instantly. You don't forget the voice that once said yes to forever even when it is a written text. I stared at that message longer than I should have. Part of me wanted to delete it. The other part, the part that spent 2 years surviving humiliation, wanted answers. Not closure. Just answers. So I replied, "Go on, talk." She asked to meet, but I refused. I didn't owe her a seat across from me. She abandoned me publicly, she could explain herself privately. After a long pause, she typed something that shook me enough to make my palms sweat. "Caleb, they forced me." Not "I panicked," or "I wasn't ready," or "I made a mistake." My heart rate changed. I asked one question: why? She responded with a message so long I had to scroll to read it all, and with every line, my anger grew colder and my understanding clearer. Her family, especially her father, had been hiding a scandal for years. A financial one. A criminal one. A reputation-destroying one. And her father believed that marrying me, a man with a clean name, a respected job, and a family known in our community, would make the scandal 10 times worse if it ever surfaced. Not because of anything I did, but because my last name held weight. So on the morning of our wedding, her father gave her 2 choices: leave me at the altar and disappear, or he would expose a secret about her mother that would destroy their family completely. He weaponized her mother's shame to control her choice. Her mother begged her to walk away. And while I stood waiting at the altar, her family was there, pretending like they didn't plan the whole thing just to protect a lie at my expense. She sent one more message that night, a message I'll never forget: "I knew you would hate me less if I disappeared than if I told you the truth." And she was right. Because hearing the truth didn't soften the betrayal. She could have trusted me. She could have chosen honesty. She could have let me fight with her, not against her silence. But she didn't. She let me drown in humiliation while she protected the same people who shattered her life long before they shattered ours. I didn't reply to her immediately. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because the man she abandoned at the altar would have reacted emotionally. And I wasn't that man anymore. I had rebuilt myself. Quietly, powerfully, and patiently. I agreed to meet her, but not because I wanted her back. I met her because the man I had become wanted what he deserved, the truth, face to face. We chose a quiet cafe on the east side of town. It was a neutral ground. Bright enough to avoid emotion. Public enough to keep everything civil. When she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked smaller. Not physically, but emotionally. Like someone who had been carrying a weight too heavy for too long. For a brief second, I remembered the girl who used to laugh into my neck when she hugged me. But the moment she sat down, I remembered the groom who waited at an altar like a fool. "Caleb," she whispered. I didn't respond. I let her talk. She told me everything. Her father's fraud case. The hush money scandal that would have erupted the moment our wedding brought media attention to their family. Her mother's past affair that her father used as leverage to control her. The threats. The manipulation. The morning she was driven away, while I was still getting dressed. She cried and apologized. She begged me to understand. And when she finally asked the question that had been trembling on her lips the entire time, "Do you hate me?" I answered with the calmness of a man who no longer bleeds. "No. I don't hate you. But I'll never see you the same." The truth is, I wasn't angry anymore. I was awakened. While she was spiraling, I had risen. While she was drowning in secrets, I was rebuilding myself. While she was stuck in the shadow of her family's sins, I had stepped into a brighter life. But that didn't mean I was done. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge is not destruction. It's clarity. And I was going to give her a taste of it. She told me she returned because her father's scandal was finally surfacing. He was desperate. Her family was falling apart. And now, after 2 years, they suddenly remembered my name. She didn't say it outright, but I heard the message behind her tears. They wanted my help. My family's clean record. My family's connections and reputation. They wanted the same thing they ruined me to protect. So when she finally said, "Caleb, can you help us?" I leaned back, folded my arms, and gave her a smile so calm it broke her heart more than anger ever could. "No. I can't." Her face fell. Her breath caught. She wasn't expecting that. She thought my heart was still the one she shattered. It wasn't. "I'm not your solution," I said. "I'm not your shield. I'm not your escape. Your family made a choice the day you left me at the altar. And choices come with consequences." I saw the realization hit her like a stone. She broke into a quiet sob, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I stood up, placed some money on the table, and ended it with a level of peace she didn't expect. "I hope you heal. But I'm not the man waiting at the altar anymore." And I walked away, not angry, not bitter, but victorious. She had to watch me leave the same way I once watched her never arrive. The difference is that I left with my dignity. She was left with consequences. Life has a way of circling back, not to punish, but to reveal. 3 months after our conversation at the cafe, her family's scandal finally exploded. Every news outlet carried the story, a decades-old secret finally surfacing. And just like that, the people who once felt too powerful to answer to anyone were exposed. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. Because when victory is real, it doesn't need noise. But the universe wasn't done with her story, or mine. One rainy afternoon, I saw her again unexpectedly. I was leaving a business meeting at a hotel lobby downtown. As I stepped into the lobby, I saw her standing alone, staring at her phone. She looked thinner and paler. Humbled in a way time alone couldn't do. She looked up and froze when she saw me. "Caleb," she called my name with disbelief. I walked toward her, not slowly, not dramatically, just calmly. She swallowed hard, eyes glistening. "You look good," she said. "Thank you." "And you look great," I replied, though it was a lie. She tried to smile, but it trembled. "I've thought about you every day." I nodded. "I know." She blinked, confused. "How?" "Because guilt has a longer memory than love." Her eyes widened, stung, but not surprised. She knew she deserved that truth. "I wish things were different," she whispered. "So do I said, "but not the way you think." She frowned softly. "What do you mean?" "I don't wish we ended up together. I wish I had known sooner who you were protecting, and who you weren't brave enough to protect." She looked down, defeated. "Not because I was cruel, but because I was honest. And honesty is the one thing she never gave me." "I never stopped loving you," she said quietly. That was the moment she hoped would open my heart. The moment she hoped would soften me. But instead, I felt nothing. Not anger. Not longing. Not nostalgia. Just peace. "I believe you," I said. "But love isn't always enough. Courage is." She cried. Not dramatically, not loudly, just softly, like someone realizing the final page has already been written. Then she asked the one question I knew was coming: "Is there any chance we could try again someday?" I smiled, a gentle, kind, but unshakable smile. "No," I said. I moved on, I continued. I healed. I grew into a man who deserves someone who won't abandon him when life gets complicated. She wiped her tears. "I'm happy for you. Truly." "I know," I said. "And I hope you find peace too." Those were my last words to her. I walked away, again not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of completion. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. She had walked away first. Now I walked away last. And this time, I was the one choosing my future. And for the first time since the day I stood at that altar, I felt the fullness of my victory. I wasn't the man who got left behind. I was the man who outgrew the place where he was abandoned.